Hey there, I'm Salvador here with Detailers Growth. Today I met with Ryan of Optimum Auto Care. How are you, Ryan?
Great. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for making the time to talk about your entire journey from what business was like before you came on board, what kind of results you've gotten in such a short amount of time, and what the future looks like for your business. So, just to kind of get started here, what was business like before coming on board with Detailers Growth?
Yeah, so before we started with Detailers Growth, being a mobile detailing company, we've been kind of just running our own ads and getting our market out there. So we were running about 4 to 8 details a month in terms of just standard full details all the way up through ceramic coatings. It was a very even mix with those. I figure our revenue was anywhere from about 2 to 3 thousand total per month. So relatively on the low end, and then kind of hopping on board with Detailers Growth. This month alone, we were just in ceramic coatings through the ads and the leads that we received. We're at 4,100. So huge jump there, and we are booking into April already. Got about another 2 to 3 thousand in coding from the leads already booked. So
Wow.
huge jump. Yeah.
Okay, so before coming on board, you were doing primarily detailing, right? Disaster details. I call them backbreaking details because you're really putting in the same or even more time into a detail, depending on the severity of it, but you're making less than you would for the same time with the coding. So you
Exactly.
said you were doing about $2,000 per month with just detailing. You came on board, and now
Right.
just within 2 weeks, you're already at $4,100 in just
Yeah.
coatings.
Correct.
Dude,
Yep. And yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, it's definitely, wasn't expecting the outcome. We've worked with other lead generation companies in the past, and we've maybe got over the course of a month, we got 10 leads and didn't book more than maybe one. And coming on board with Detailers Growth, within the first 2 weeks, we're at already 35 leads, and I think we booked about 8 of them so far, and we're still in
nice.
contact with about seven that we just gave quotes to. So, it still have a lot more room there. It's another few grand in leads that we're in contact with right now. So it's
Nice.
definitely a huge difference between other companies and Detailers Growth for sure.
Yes. So just to give some further context, your campaign went live March 1st. And I remember your campaign went live and it got approved fairly quickly, but from when the campaign went live to when that first deal was closed, what was that time
Mhm.
frame like?
Yeah, so we closed the first deal on the 3rd um, of March. So we had
Wow.
about, yeah, I think we had about four or five leads at that point.
Wow.
So
So less than 2 days from the campaign going live, you closed your first ceramic coating.
yes, yep,
Tell me about it, man. How did that conversation
yeah.
go? What was it like?
Yeah, I mean, it was very straightforward. The customer saw the ad and they knew kind of what they wanted. They were already in the market for ceramic coating, and they saw the ad. They reached out to us and kind of got just a brief description of our package and our pricing. And there was no objections or pushback or anything. They were pretty much educated in terms of the different coatings. They just wanted to kind of see what would best suit their needs. So it's about a 10-minute phone call, and they were booked the following week. We did their coding a few days ago. So, it was a quick turnaround for them. They were pleased, and a 5-star review right off the bat. So can't
Nice.
complain on either end. So it was great.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay, so that was the first deal. Your campaign went live. Usually the campaign takes about a week to warm up. So the fact that you closed the coding within that first week was insane. But can you tell me a little bit about the other leads that came through that ultimately turned into jobs?
Yeah, so we spoke with about 8 of them that booked already, and then we have another six that we're still in contact with and discussing like our packages and just trying to figure out what best suits their needs. So out of those 8, they all booked our middle of the line package. We offer a guarantee to last with that. We offer a 5-year coating, so they really like the warranty with that it comes with. So they all went and booked those, which is great on both ends because it's great, great coating for the customer to go to, especially if they haven't had a coating in the past. They kind of can learn how the coding works for them and if that's like a good middle line. And then they also have that peace of mind with the warranty, but it's also on our end. It's great because again, it's that middle of the line. We're not just selling our base package coding. We're making a bit more revenue on that, and we're getting that repeat customer back in terms of maintenance, any referrals. A couple of the customers even have a couple of other cars that they're looking to have us code too. So that's great. It's kind of a 2-for-1 deal with the ads, so it makes it even better.
Love it, man. I love it. So just to kind of go into more detail on what the conversations have been like with the leads, have you run into any sort of hard objections that you would say are harder to overcome than the other leads that did book?
Yeah, I wouldn't say any that were harder to overcome. The biggest objection that we've had was we did have a couple in terms of the pricing, but what we were able to do is offer a couple different incentive options. And I know
Nice.
specifically I spoke with you about our company in terms of that, and that's another kind of a great perk of working with Detailers Growth too, is you're not just working with a lead generation company, you're working with a detailing lead generation company. So you have a good community that knows what they're doing in the detailing world and not just the ad world. So that's always a great package. And those kind of pricing objections is a lot of great advice that we spoke with, and then other, detailers in the community here have handed out that from what they've learned and what they've experienced in the past. And that makes it really great. I think we had maybe 4 or 5 objections so far, and if we had 5, I would say about 3 or 4 of them actually ended up booking after we went over our pricing with them and gave them a little
Incentives.
bit of a
Yeah.
discount. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And just to kind of give people watching some golden nuggets that they can implement. So I remember the conversation. You mentioned that people were getting price. They weren't really objecting to the price, but they weren't scheduling. That was like the main bottleneck. So what I recommended on our one-on-one phone call is just add an expiration date to that discount. And obviously make sure your pricing is set up in a way where you do have that wiggle room for a discount, right? Without
Right.
really going into and cutting into your margins. But yeah, just something simple like that gets people to take action sooner rather than when them waiting until late spring, summertime, when
Exactly.
demand is just going to naturally increase. So definitely, if you're watching this, I would highly recommend adding an expiration date to any quote that you give them, especially if it's tied with a bonus or some sort of discount as well.
Mhm.
That's how you discount the
Yeah,
right way.
absolutely, yeah. And what I found that works really well too for my company is what we've been doing is, we've been kind of offering an incentive where on our base model coating, we just coat the exterior paint and that's it. So if you want to get the glass and the rim and the trims done,
Yeah,
you go to our mid-tier package. But what I've had a lot of success doing is people that have objections in the price of our middle coating, but really want that middle coating, they don't want that base coating is I'll take, our promo that we're running right now of a free window coating. And I'll say, if you want to book today, you can book today, get on our schedule, put a deposit down. What I could do is I can take, that value of getting that free windshield coating on the 2-year, and I can instead just give you like $100 off the 5-year, mid-level coating, and we can get you on right now, get the deposit in. And I haven't had any issues with that. People, it's, even just $100 discount, people are just ready to go and get booked. So
yeah,
it's been working great in terms of overcoming those objections with them.
yeah, and that is relatively something actionable that people can implement right away, right? You get a ceramic coating lead, you give them a price, they don't pull the trigger, you can follow up with them the next day, offer some sort of incentive or a bonus with that expiration date, which I think is super key, especially if you're looking to get people to make that decision sooner rather than later. So that's,
Exactly.
and also another thing to tie into that is just simplifying your packaging. I think a lot of detailers maybe even watching this are giving their customers too many options, right? Too many options
Mhm.
sounds great in theory because of the flexibility aspect, but you're overwhelming people if you're giving them
Right.
different
Right.
configurations, different pricings, different variables, especially if you're trying to explain this over a phone call, right? You're gonna
Exactly.
overwhelm
Exactly.
them. they're not going to be able to remember. So it's going to make things a little bit more difficult to sell that way versus here's A, B, and C, right? There's a
Exactly.
difference. It's clear. You can explain it in a simple conversation, which I think is also something that contributes to that person making that decision super easily.
Right, right. And then not only with that too, is if you have too many packages or too many options, and if you're adding on every little service
Yes.
that you offer, the customer isn't going to always know what they want. They're not a detailer. They don't know what their vehicle needs or what it doesn't need. Some will go
Yeah.
crazy and just purchase every package, or some won't purchase anything because they don't know, what they need. And yeah, it's a big sales thing. So it's not to say that you can't do that and make a custom package for your customers, but definitely keep it simple. I usually like to say 3 packages at most for each
Yeah.
service. So whether it's detailing, ceramic coating, if you have paint protection film, stuff like that, 3 packages at most. And then if you need to, you can always break it down and make something custom, but don't promote that to the customer online or over the phone until it
Yes.
comes down to that point.
1000%. 1000%. Are there any other kind of, whether it's related to sales or just, getting those reps in, is there anything else that kind of helped you close more leads? Is there like something that you can pinpoint that where you're like, okay, I changed this and I saw a noticeable increase, similar to that expiration thing that we were talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do in my business is I always advocate what's kind of best for the customer and not just what's best for the business. So I
Right.
don't sell anything. I let them know, I let them know what options we have. I see what their needs are based on what they tell me, what their vehicle needs in general, in terms of, well, just say for ceramic coating, what level of paint correction they need, if they keep it outside or in a garage, if they take it to a car wash or wash it themselves. So I make sure I get everything that I need to know to give them a good recommended package. I'm not going to go and offer them the 9 year
Yeah.
coating, whether they can pay for it. I've had customers call and say, I want the 9 year coating. And I find out kind of what they are really looking for, what works best for them. I've gone and recommended and sold them on the 5 year coating because they hand wash it themselves. They take care of it. They want to get on a maintenance plan, come see us once a year, twice a year, whatever it may be, just to make sure that we're upkeeping the coating. We've seen the 5 year coatings go 6 or 7 years with
Proper
maintaining it
maintenance.
properly.
Yeah.
So they really don't need the 9 year coating. And so we sold them on that. And it's just really good. And from what I've seen, it's really good business practice because you're not just selling to get, as much money as possible.
Yes.
You're showing you actually care. And that, brings great repeat customers. And at the end of the day, if they have another vehicle you don't know about, they'll bring it to you because they like that you didn't just go and sell them the biggest package, even though they requested it and they can
Yeah.
afford it. But if you let them know, like if it's not the necessarily the best option for them or not needed, that just adds really great customer experience for them. And even with the reviews, like even if they don't have another car, they don't recommend you, if they leave a good review and they mention that stuff, another customer is going to see that online, and that's just going to bring you more business in general. Even if it's the lower package coatings, it's going to bring you way more revenue than just selling somebody a 9 year coating because you can.
Yeah, 1000%. And that's exactly what we advocate in our sales training program is taking more of a diagnostic point of view when it comes to selling because people know when you're trying to sell them something that's in your interest and not their interest. And I think a lot of that is just in the questions that you ask them. Like you mentioned, you get all the information from them up front on how you would tailor that package specifically based on what they told you. And that's exactly what we advocate is taking a more diagnostic approach with sales and making sure that that connection is made between what they want and what they can afford, right? So making sure that those
Exactly.
things are matching, which is a huge part to our sales process. I think a lot of people think sales is something more sophisticated, tactical, which it definitely can be. But I think at the fundamental level, it's about giving people what they want in a way they can understand it.
Right.
So yeah, as far as selling goes, your campaign's only been like 2 weeks, relatively short amount of time. But what I imagine is you're gonna get those reps and you're gonna get comfortable with talking with people. You're gonna know exactly how to overcome their objections before they even ask
Right.
them.
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm super excited for your sales journey. Are there any sort of nuggets or things that you want to highlight as far as the sales training that you've learned so far?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would really say that stuck out again is just kind of going back to not only the sales training videos that we have, but the CRM with the automation, and again with the community of other detailers that have businesses that are brand new all the way up to businesses that are 20, 30 years old, that they know the ins and out of everything. So just having that network that you can talk to and you can ask questions is huge for any business, whether it's an older business or a newer business, because you can kind of learn everything from each other. And there's obviously going to be those older businesses that are going to teach the new businesses a lot of valuable information, but those new businesses also can teach the older guys information and just kind of anything that's new in the market that they may not be necessarily familiar with or may not think is a big selling point or anything like that. So it's really great to like kind of have that. And that's been huge to kind of go and learn more about selling and objections and or overcoming objections and all of that. So I mean that's just really been a huge standout point for us in terms of success in selling.
I love that. Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, and I always tell people that the community that we have, I feel very lucky because we have people who are willing to share what's working for them. We have people who are willing to be accessible without us asking them to. Like you can connect with Aaron, you can connect with Ray, you can connect with all the guys that are in the group. They may not be active with the coaching calls, but they're more than happy to help. Like that's what they're there for. They're willing to give feedback. They're willing to give their input for you to learn and shorten that learning curve on your journey. So we cover the entire spectrum from guys who are still mobile detailing to guys who are maybe doing mobile coatings, and then guys who are experienced in shop, are managing big teams, right? So we cover the entire spectrum of those different clients that you can easily access, get their thoughts, and implement their feedback.
Yeah,
Love it, man.
exactly.
Okay, so kind of going back to when you initially reached out to us, was there any sort of hesitation or was that decision pretty quick for you, or was it something where you're like, man, let me take a couple days to really think about if this is right for me?
Yeah, so of course there was definitely hesitations, and actually from when I originally reached out to you guys, I had before I even scheduled the initial call, I've been seeing the ads for about a month with these calls right here and just going over the success. And I saw them for about a month before I eventually pulled the trigger, just because of the past experiences I've had with again lead generation companies, company, or even just if it's a one person game that's just they're going and doing the Google ads for you or the Facebook ads or anything like
Right.
that. So, and I just had no success with them. I've spent a ton of money, if not the same amount, just kind of throwing into the ads and just having no turnaround in leads or sales or anything. So I was very hesitant, coming in, obviously,
Of
of
course.
course, at the
Yeah.
higher price range, but on top of that, in general, just going in with another company. But at the end of the day, I would do it. Just do it. If you're truly serious about the business that you're running and you're gonna put in the work and you're gonna learn everything you can and have the budget to at least get started, you're going to make a great return on that investment. My company's in Rhode Island. We're the smallest state, and we
Yeah.
have just as many detailers as every other state, and we're killing it in the first 2 weeks. So we're just looking at these ads alone. So I mean, and getting the leads that we're getting. So no matter where you are, you're going to have a great return on the investment there with that. So if there's any hesitations that you have, I mean, there's really just if you can afford it to start off, then just go for it because it's going to be 100% worth it.
Yes, 1000%. And I think the thing that I want to double click and highlight is the fact that this is a partnership, right? We do our end, you do our end, and it works out beautifully. In your case, we're able to see that in such a short amount of time, but I think we also see this with clients who may not see early results initially, but going into
Mhm.
the second or even third month, like as long as we're both on the same page, we're both aiming towards the same goal, it almost always works out, you know.
Yeah,
And I think, the biggest thing is definitely going to be the sales process, but more importantly, the educational video content. This is something we talk a lot about, but it only helps. It makes your life a lot easier on the actual sales process because now people are familiar with you, they're comfortable, they know exactly what they're buying, what they can expect to pay. So it
exactly.
kind of answers all the questions that they would have on a phone call but they're getting that information upfront without even having to enter in their information. So big advocate for that, which is great. So took about a month for you to pull the trigger. You had some hesitation, obviously working with other agencies in the past that just didn't produce the results that you were looking for, which I completely understand, man. And I understand why it's hard for other detailers in that position to make a decision right away because
Right.
there's a lot of things, right? Whether it's a financial point of view or just, hey, I don't know if this is actually going to work for me. But again, just to circle back around, I think as long as we have that straight line of communication, I just don't want to give people the wrong idea that advertising is just the advertising, right? It's not as simple as
Right.
just putting up ads and you know
Right.
magic
And
happens, right?
getting business. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were that easy,
Yeah.
man, oh my God. I'd be up there with
Exactly.
Jeff
Yeah, no.
Bezos.
Right. Yeah, no, you definitely, if you're serious and you're gonna put in the work, you're gonna get great return. And even the leads, obviously you're not gonna close every single lead. You sell every single customer on any package of your, going for ceramic coating. You're not gonna sell them no matter what you offer them. And you gotta understand that. But the great part is too, with these leads, they're not junk leads. These are serious customers that are really looking for work and protection on their vehicles, or just wanted to maintain their vehicles. So it's great, even if you lose them, if you're serious about it, you can kind of keep them in your funnel and send them follow up. Say, hey, we're offering, if you got a ceramic coating lead and you're 2 months down the road, you didn't book them, and 2 months down the road, you're offering a promotion on like an interior detail, and
Yes.
you're like, keep them, reach out to them. It's like you'll still get business here and there from a lot of those people, because they're still looking to maintain their car. It just maybe not the right time for them, or not the right budget, and you never know what that's gonna close, because 2 months you get that interior book now, and now they maybe have a little bit more of a budget to work with, or maybe they just got
Tax returns, yes.
ceramic wax. Yeah, tax return, or they got like a ceramic wax, and they're like, I like this, but it doesn't last. So let's actually look
Yeah.
at that base package coating and see how we like that. And you never know like what that's gonna bring. And you never know. It's like maybe they'll reach out and be like, actually, you know what? Like, I still don't want to do it, but a friend of mine is looking to do it. So keeping them in your funnel is great. It's even if you lose them off the bat, you're still gonna have that lead
Yeah.
for many opportunities. So as long as you keep up with them and follow up without, blowing up their phone or email with nonsense, you could definitely convert those into jobs. So it's definitely worth it just to have the leads that you do have here.
Percent. I love that. Yeah. And follow-ups are something we're really huge on. Sending out text blasts, email blasts, right? As long as it makes sense for them and you're offering something and you're not just sending a blast saying, hey, just checking in, right? Because that doesn't really prompt a
Right.
response. But if you send something where it's like an incentive with an expiration date and you clearly outline all the benefits, now somebody's more likely to respond and actually turn into a job rather than respond for the sake of responding, right? So yeah, Ryan, tell me what business looks like for the second half of March and going forward as we transition into the spring season and the summer season.
Yeah, so right now, like I said, just from the leads alone, we've generated in 2 weeks, over 4,000 in sales revenue, just for ceramic coating. So, on top of that, we have about our average is about 1,500 to 2 grand for March in terms of just standard details, or our maintenance clients and anything like that we see year to year. So that's, we're looking at around 5 to 6,000 right now in total revenue for March, which is a huge jump for us compared to our last few years. And then in April right now, we've been booking just ceramic coatings for April right now. So we don't even have a single, interior, exterior maintenance, anything on the books. It's just all ceramic coatings right now. We get, like I said, about 3,000 in sales, and another, or sales revenue, and another, I believe, 2 or 3,000 that we're still, talking to with our leads, and just kind of providing them with our packages and connecting with them, and seeing what works for them, and just kind of starting to build that relationship, and hopefully getting some more of those converted for April and getting those on the book. So right now we're looking about forecasted about 6 to 8 grand in April. And then usually our busy months come between May and July. So really interested to see where it goes here with the leads and everything, and
Yeah,
how it affects our revenue. Because I mean, yeah, like I said, in March, we're what, 1.5 or 2 times higher than, at least 2.5 times higher than we have been in the past. So
Yeah,
as of this year, so I mean and it's not even this is one of our slower months. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's definitely going to continue to keep going up as from the trends that we're seeing. So which is great.
yeah, dude. I'm super excited for that because again, we're still technically not even in spring yet. It's still the winter, but it definitely is warming up. But yeah, going into spring and then summertime is going to be absolutely nuts, man. So I'm super excited
Yeah,
to see what that looks like for your business. And we might have to circle back around and do a part two come
definitely,
summertime.
definitely. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, if it's going the way it's going, we definitely have to.
Awesome, man. So just to recap, you went from doing $2,000 months with just detailing to close to $6,000 a month in just ceramic coatings within a 2 week
Correct.
period. That's insane,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You've already
It's
doubled in just 2 weeks. So, you
right,
know,
right.
the next 2 weeks could be crazy and you'll definitely hit
Definitely.
6,000, but we really want to aim for that 8,000. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, man. So a lot of potential there and super excited to see what that looks like for your business come summertime and beyond that. Because I think once you have a good foundation of leads and again, like you mentioned, referrals, word of mouth, now things just snowball to where it becomes less and less, work up front to where it just kind of works itself, right? You get friends and family referring other friends and family, you
Right.
get referrals, good reviews. It all just kind of snowballs to where it really does work in your favor.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Awesome, man. So, Ryan, just to wrap things up here, do you have any last closing thoughts that you want to say to people watching who might be on the fence or anything else you want to highlight with your journey?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anybody that's on the fence, definitely jump in and do it. If everything makes sense for you budget wise and you're serious about growing, pull the trigger on it and go for things. I know I've seen a lot of comments on the ads and stuff that you guys post about looking for new detailers to work with, and they say, "Oh, I can't do that because I'm mobile," or "I can't do this because I don't have this many
Yeah,
years in business," or "I just started doing ceramic coatings," or "I don't do ceramic coatings." Just if it makes sense for you, just jump into it. Like, we're mobile, where it's obviously working great for us. You don't need a shop. You don't need so many years in business. As long as you're serious about what you're doing, you're passionate about growing and making sure that you're giving the customer exactly what they need, you're going to succeed greatly, no matter where you are, what your business you're in, if you're mobile or shop based. It really does not matter about any of that. It's just all what you put into it, and that's what you'll get out of it.
I love that, man. And just to double click on that mobile aspect, have you noticed like that hasn't been like a bottleneck in the sales process, right? Would you say that's something that's popped up at all?
No, so I know we spoke. It popped up with that one customer, and we spoke, and it does sound like it definitely came down to the pricing aspect, because, as you
Yeah,
mentioned, he didn't mention anything about the longevity of it being done mobily or anything
yeah,
related to the mobile. It's just that's kind of where he cut the line. So it just sounds like that's the
yeah,
excuse that he used, like the "let me talk to my wife" kind of excuse. So
yeah,
other than that, I mean, out of the 8 or 9 coatings that we have on the book right now, they nobody's had any concerns or pushback or anything with it being mobile. Not even a question of, is this going to affect the longevity, or, oh, well, how does that work if it rains or anything like that. They've had nothing
right.
at that point. If you educate them on what they're getting, how it's going to work, you're professional. You again, you don't just sell them, the best you can. You sell them what they need. They're going to jump on board. They're, at that point, if you market everything correctly, and you give them follow-ups with your website, to your packages, your reviews, videos are huge. We have a couple of our videos on our website with, just kind of ceramic coating and how they work, what they include in our packages, and those are huge to kind of educate the customer when you're not on the phone with them. So as long as you're providing all of that, you're not going to have any problems with being mobile or anything like that.
Yeah, and that is something we get asked about a lot is I'm mobile, will this work for me? Or I don't offer ceramic coatings yet, or I'm barely getting into ceramic coatings. And the cool thing about working with us is again, we've seen that entire journey from guys who haven't even started offering ceramic coatings they were able to make that transition smoothly and eventually just do ceramic coating. So like you don't need a shop. You don't
Exactly.
need to be in business for 10 years plus, right? All the things that people would naturally think, you need to get started with advertising. I mean, it definitely helps, don't get me wrong. It definitely
Right.
helps, right? But it's not required to get started, right? As
Exactly.
long
Yeah.
as
It's
you're
all what you put
professional,
in.
exactly. As long as you're professional, you have a great sales process, you're explaining things in a very easy to understand way, it almost always works out. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
you're able to see that in your case. But yeah, Ryan, just wrap things up here. I love it, man. I love it. I'm super happy for your success. You've doubled in just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we still have
Yeah.
another 2 weeks in the month.
So, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So definitely 2.5 times for sure. But we're really hoping for that triple, man. I think we can get there. I think we can get
I think
there.
so.
To
Yeah.
8,000. Yeah.
I think by May we'll definitely be there.
Yes. And
So
then, yeah, April, May, you have the wind at your back. Demand is naturally going to increase. The weather's nicer. So, dude, I'm excited for what winter holds
yeah.
or for what summer holds for you, man.
For the summer, yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely, and yeah, we're hoping probably this year, probably by mid to the coming up on the end of this year, moving into some PPF as well. So definitely, we're still getting everything kind of situated with that, and still learning as much as we can before we start officially offering it. But definitely looking to get that this year, if not by latest next year. So if we do get it this year or next year, we're definitely going to be pushing more into that as well. So I'm sure that'll be a great, ROI in terms of our leads and everything.
I love it. Ryan, super happy for your success. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for making the time to sit down and talk about your journey. It's been amazing to kind of see that journey in such a short amount of time. Again, I
Yeah,
wouldn't set that expectation for everybody watching this. I think it just goes to show that when you're willing to make the investment and you're willing to learn, you can get that transformation in that short amount of time. So awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time,
absolutely.
Ryan, and have a great
Yeah,
day.
thank you. Yeah, you too.
Alrighty. I'm gonna
Cool.
pause.